Brent strolled forward, unhurried. It was a beautiful day as he moved on to his next job. Just then, he heard the clash of battle. Metal met metal as two foes faced off. The large man crept forward and knelt down. Up in the sky clashed a monster and a monkey? Brent watched as the monkey danced through the air, jumped about, and multiplied as it faced down its foe. He was amazed at the fine warrior he watched. Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide, Jason. Today we are introduced to a character who has influenced much of Eastern literature. Let's take a look at this incredible primate warrior. Sun Wukong comes from China. He is a trickster god. His name can be translated to Monkey Awakened by Emptiness. Appearing in the novel Journey to the West, which is from the 16th century, with much of the story heavily based on Taoist beliefs. It is a bit long, but a good read. It is actually hard to find an anime that doesn't draw from Journey to the West for inspiration. Upon the mountain of flower and fruit, also called Mount Hugyu, there was a rock. One day, it broke under a light breeze, and out popped a monkey. He was nameless, but could walk and speak. Generally, he is said to look like a macaque monkey. Light flashed from his eyes, and was bright enough to be seen in heaven by the ruler, the Jade Emperor. Yet, when he investigated it, he only found a monkey, and ignored it. The first mistake of many. The reason behind the conception comes from the mixing of earthly yin energy of the mountain and heavily yang energy of the sky. The little monkey would travel down the mountain until he found more monkeys who he lived with. One day they were playing by a waterfall, and they dared someone to find the source of the water, and they would become king of the monkeys. And guess who did it? Yep, our stone-born monkey. He swam to the end and found a cave which the monkeys made their new home. The Monkey King was arrogant and impatient. In time, he stole clothes from humans and wandered through the lands until he learned of Zushi, a Taoist martial artist. Eventually, the stone monkey convinced the martial artist to teach him after months of asking. This is also where the stone monkey is named Sun Wukong, though he is forbidden to ever share where he learned. So later, he's mentioned being part of the Monad sect. The skills he learned are rather lengthy, shape-shifting into 72 different forms and animals, multiplying, turning any of his 84,000 hairs into objects as needed using his breath, control of the elements, fire, water, and wind, spawning 3 heads and 6 arms, super strength and speed. He could travel 54,000 kilometers or 34,000 miles in one somersault. When he returns home, he wars with the demon of confusion. Among his loot, he found weapons for his monkey subjects, but in his arrogance, he doesn't find one worthy of himself. Thus, he goes to the Dragon King, Aoi Kwang, who rejects him. But our monkey doesn't take too kindly to that, and barges in. The Dragon King realizes what is happening, and offers several weapons to Sun Wukong, who destroys them. In time, he does accept Ryu Jingban, a staff which helps support the 4 seas. It is far too heavy for anyone else to use, at 8 tons. This gold-banded staff can fly, stretch, change sizes, and fight on its master's command. Sun Wukong shrinks it down and stores it in his ear like a needle. In addition to that, he receives a golden chainmail shirt, a phoenix feathered hat, and boots of cloud walking. Finally, with all of that, he leaves. Upon returning home, he demonstrates his power and forms an alliance with several other powerful factions of beasts and demons. but all of his antics has drawn the attention of others. When Yan Wang, king of hell, comes to collect Sun Wukong's soul, the monkey throws things into chaos. Amidst it all, Wukong finds the book of life and death, and removes the names of himself and all of his fathers, thus keeping them from dying for a time. But finally, the Jade Emperor is forced to act. He tries a peaceful strategy to separate the Monkey King from the others, and offers him to come and live in heaven with the other gods. A peaceful solution. In heaven, he was given the lowest position of being the guard for the Jade Emperor's horses. But the other gods rejected him, and he began to seek immortality as a way to prove himself as their equal. Eventually, the Jade Emperor had a party for his wife, Shi Wan Yu. The monkey wasn't invited. So what do you think our insolent monkey did? Yep, he crashed the party, and started a fight with the gods' guards. Marking his victory, he declared himself great sage equal to heaven, and runs back to Earth. Under advice of Gold Star, the gods concoct a new plan. A promotion is offered to Monkey King. While thinking it is a trap, overconfident, he accepts and takes his pose guarding Shi Wan Yu's peach garden. They had been waiting 6,000 years for those peaches to ripen for the peach banquet. But these aren't normal peaches, but the peaches of immortality. And guess who wasn't invited? Yep, our monkey. He finds out by speaking with the maidens of Shi Wan Yu. You would think the Jade Emperor would have learned after the first one. Well, this time our insolent monkey snuck up to the highest levels of the royal palace and stole Lao Zi's pills of longevity, Shi Wan Yu's peaches of immortality, and all the divine wine. The Jade Emperor will no longer seek a peaceful resolution. He sends multiple armies against the Monkey King, and they are beaten back. Finally, the Emperor's nephew, Arlin Shen, is sent in. Finally, an even foe for Wukong. But with the aid of Lao Zi, throwing a ring at the back of Wukong's head, they are able to bind him. They tried to execute the monkey, and they failed. Finally, he's locked in the 8-way trigram crucible for 49 days in an attempt to distill out the pills of longevity. But it fails when the monkey hides in the corner of the wind trigram. The process left him even stronger and more durable with golden or smoldering pupils, which lets him recognize evil. He also gains a few more powers: astral projection, turning invisible, opening locks on command, freezing people in place with but one word. Finally, with nothing left, the Jade Emperor turns to Buddha for aid. When Wukong barges into the royal palace, Buddha approaches the monkey, who demands that he is made the new Jade Emperor. But it turns out Buddha is a gambling man, and makes a bet with the monkey. Buddha bets that the monkey can't escape from his hand, which our little arrogant monkey gladly takes. Wukong jumps and runs to the end of the universe, where he finds 5 pillars. To prove he got there, he left some graffiti on the middle pillar of the title he gave himself. Oh, and he decided to take a piss while he was there. Then he jumped back to the royal palace. But Buddha just showed him his hand, with both the graffiti and the piss. Before Wukong could react, Buddha traps him under a mountain with only his head and hands exposed. He is sealed away with a paper talisman. 2 guards were stationed. One fed him iron balls when he was hungry, and the other poured molten copper down his throat when thirsty. And for 500 years, he remained there. For here, he is to learn patience and humility. If you read Journey to the West, it will diverge off the Monkey King for a few dozen chapters, while we meet Tang Sanzang, a monk on a pilgrimage for the Tang dynasty, who was traveling to India to retrieve Buddhist sutras. The Tang dynasty was from about 618 to 907 AD, which means at the latest, Wukong's rampage through heaven was in about 400 AD, but probably closer to the 1st century. The Bodhisattva Guan Yin, who is guiding Tang Sanzeng, agrees to the monk's request. Tang gets a circlet which he convinces Wukong to put on, but then can never remove. When Tang recites a certain phrase, it causes incredible pain for Wukong and leaves him unable to move. When released, Wukong tries to escape and is left in pain by Tang until he becomes compliant. Finally, they set out to meet Shu Baji, a pigman known for his lustful and slothful nature, and Sha Wujing, who was an exiled heavenly guard. Together, the four of them travel for months and face down numerous foes, bandits and demons who try to eat, assault, and wed Tang, for by eating or intercourse are able to achieve immortality. This section comprises almost half of Journey to the West. During these travels, Wukong learns the teachings of Buddha and achieves sainthood. Eventually, he's given a new name, the Victorious Fighting Buddha. That is quite the story, and believe me, that is the condensed version. So, I'm betting you are wondering why the gods didn't turn to Buddha earlier. Well, arrogance and overconfidence are a major theme throughout the story, not just for Wukong and the Jade Emperor, who could have dealt with much of the problem if he had treated Wukong with more respect, invited him to the heavenly parties, and treated him as an equal. I mean, he ignored Wukong's birth and let him run wild on Earth for years before stepping in. Only once he amassed an army of his own. But Wukong was also considered lesser by the other gods, so it would have required the effort of them all. Something which none would ever consider a lowly beast as equal to divine beings such as themselves. Now what led to Wukong becoming so strong even before reaching heaven? Well, his birth was not natural, was it? The union of yin and yang, birthing a creature from a stone. Not a being of mortal birth. A destined birth to bring about a single outcome. Why did the gods struggle against Wukong? Well, let's take a look at his arsenal. His staff can grow without limit, not just in length, but thickness. He has used it to weigh down individuals and smash through walls. Oh, and don't forget, it weighs 8 tons. If swung even at the size of a regular staff, that is a lot of momentum. Now, if he stretches it to a few hundred feet or more and takes a swing, it will spread the mass out, but it'll still have plenty of force. There is no armor which can protect you from a swing of his weapon. It'll shatter every bone in your body. This is a fight where you need to avoid all of his attacks. Unless you have divine power, you can't withstand it. Even more so if he turns himself into a giant. But before that, his master taught him magic. With 84,000 hairs, he can create anything he needs. Usually clothes or tools, but he could make weapons and hundreds of copies of himself. Even if just a monkey, at 84,000, that's a lot to fight. Doubly so with speed and strength to match. Imagine fighting one monkey with super speed and strength. Now, try a dozen at once. What about 100? Now, what happens when he combines it with other powers? Sprouting 2 more heads and 4 more arms. 3 heads and 6 arms in total, each carrying a copy of his magic staff. A difficult situation. And we've got his shape-shifting, and he knows how to use it. Against one of the devils who sought to marry his charge, Wukong turned into a fly and slipped into the female devil's stomach, where he bounced about and fought her from the inside. He has evaded attacks by turning into a fish and swimming in the stream. I mean, he could be just about any animal. Would you expect any bird, fish, or fly to be the Monkey King? Yeah, this is a versatile power. Doubly so when he could also turn into more subtle things, like say a rock that is just sitting by your door. Or you could just go completely invisible and float through the air with shoes of cloud walking. Now, we do know a bit more about his immortality. There are 3 types of peaches. The first bloom every 3,000 years, makes your body light and strong and immortal. The second bloom every 6,000 years and gives you the power of flight and eternal youth. Every 9,000 years we get the third type of peaches, which makes you eternal as heaven and earth, as long as the sun and moon. So it was the second type mentioned that he eats. But there was one tree outside of heaven, in a Taoist monastery. Once every 10,000 years, it gives off 30 peaches. These look like newborn infants. These peaches of immortality grant 360 more years of life for smelling them, and 47,000 years to those that eat them. But this time, Tang and the party reject the fruit. Sun Wukong was well chosen to guard Tang Sanzong on his pilgrimage to and from India. He has an insane list of abilities, which he knows how to make the most out of. Yeah, he is tough, and definitely a 10 of 10 for difficulty. Don't fight him! Brent watched in awe as the monster and the monkey fought. Back and forth they clashed, with magic and skill, far beyond anything that he could even muster. All he could do was marvel at them. When all went still, he moved forward quietly, but didn't notice the monkey watching him. The Stone Monkey, Sun Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, and the victorious fighting Buddha. He is truly an incredible warrior, if not arrogant, impatient, and a troublemaker in his youth. Good thing he mellowed out after 500 years of being stuck under a mountain, and chained with a circlet. The gods didn't waste those 500 years. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next week, where we shall look at the witch hunts. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.